Welcome to the first episode of the Kilometre Club Gets to Know. What a way to start. Today's guest is GB athlete and elite marathon runner who recently took part in the London Marathon. It's local legend, Charlie Hulson. Easy run or hard run?
Hard run.
AM or PM runs?
AM. No, PM. Sorry.
Trail, cross country or road?
Road now.
5k or 10k?
10k.
Half marathon or full marathon?
Full.
Socks tucked into tights or socks underneath tights?
I don't, mate.
You're a shorts kind of guy.
Yeah, I'd go underneath the tights.
Underneath.
Yeah.
London or New York?
London.
Nike or New Balance?
New Balance.
Calf sleeves or arm sleeves?
Arm sleeves all the way, 100%.
Pie or pasty?
Pie, gotta be.
How did you get into running, really? That's what I wanted to know.
I used to be dead anxious, like when I was little, like really, like when I was a kid in primary school.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to run away from, like when you were lining up in, like, do you know when you line up to go into school?
Yeah.
It was quite a big school, so I used to hate it. So I used to run off, basically.
Yeah.
I used to stand there for like 5 minutes and then run off, and then the teachers used to chase me, and I literally used to do it like every other morning. So like, it was just a thing that, and I used to get quite far, but basically the PE teacher was watching.
Realised you were quick.
And realised I was quick and obviously quite weird. So he just, to help me out, he basically took me into like the cross country club,
Right.
which was like every morning at like 7 or whatever.
Yeah.
How old would you be then? Like 10? Something like that, 8?
Yeah.
So I literally just did that every morning, and like, even from then, it, like, I didn't think about going into school, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it helped in that respect.
So
You know what I mean?
what sort of like, I've obviously done a little bit of, I know you're fairly well done a little bit of research on you. What sort of, what clubs did you start? How did you sort of get into the run? Obviously anyone can go for a run, but
Yeah.
how did you get into like the running scene, if you like? What sort of clubs did you
Yeah,
did you
so during D-side, when I was in like year 8 maybe, like D-side running club.
Yeah, is that just because it was the closest one?
Yeah,
or-
because it's close, yeah, and just easy, and like, I think my dad knew the coach, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I moved clubs to the Sale Harriers
Right.
in Manchester. Yeah, like they approached me because there's a bit more opportunity over there.
Right.
And then, so I used to train in Manchester like 3 times a week.
How does that come about? That like, how does Sale Harriers approach it? Is it they just see you attending?
Yeah, so like
events
so like say from 14 onwards, I was like in competing, and then I guess they just see like the results, so they just got in touch with, I think they actually got in touch with someone from D-side,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got me over there, but then it does cause a bit of problems, because even then, like, I think I got banned from running for like 9 months,
Right,
because I moved. Yeah.
I was going to say, were D-side like trying to hold on to you a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit?
So then, but then it's sound now, and then I was there till like I was 21.
Right.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Which was actually really good. Like I ran really well. There's a cross country called like English National.
Mhm.
That was like the last race I did for them, and I won it. After I won English National, I basically New Balance approached me then, because they were like,
This
we
guy's
want,
quick.
yeah, and they were, at that point they were opening that professional running team
Right.
in Manchester, so they approached me and then asked me to come over, and then obviously because Sale had like nurtured me up to that level, that caused like a lot of friction.
Right.
And like running at like elite level running is a lot more like unfriendly than, do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah.
So it's like I fell out with everyone, like I was in a group.
Sale, or,
yeah, so I was in a group at Sale for like, it was like 8 years probably, was it?
Right.
And 7 years, and as soon as I moved to New Balance, they just like nothing.
Cut you off.
Yeah, like, I haven't spoken to any of them since.
I guess if that, my footballing background, it's like a transfer. Like, you know, people pay big money to take you away from one club to another. I guess there's nothing like that in the running side of it. It's just whoever's got the biggest pull, is it?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's there's in like the club side of things, there's no money in.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can literally just pack up and go somewhere else if you wanted.
Yeah, and especially now, like, because they tried to put a ban on me, but obviously they were up against New Balance, so they couldn't. But like, a lot of people will get banned. But now you can actually move like wherever you want without. I think you need like a month notice, maybe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you obviously mentioned off camera you were at New Balance basically for a while.
Yeah.
You had that athlete house, is that right?
Yeah. So like the way they worked it, they got a house in Manchester, and then I think they started off with 5 athletes maybe.
Right.
And then you all went in that house.
Is it every day double sessions? How does that work?
Yeah. So
people that don't know.
Everyone in the house was same like discipline.
Yeah.
So like the 3 lads that were in there were just all doing the same races really.
Does it get quite competitive with one another, the other lads, or?
Yeah, but we were all sound and we were all mates, and so it worked really well. Like we just trained every day, like twice a day.
Right.
And then like after the first year I started finding it a bit too intense, like that environment. So like, and like controlled. It's not how I run. I just run like
quite relaxed off.
Yeah,
feel
I feel a lot of the time. Yeah. So there started being like friction, and then I think I lasted another year, and then I was telling you I moved home. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really meant to move home, and then so like I ended up leaving the team basically. Yeah. And like, well, it was like a mutual agreement, really.
And then just did things on your own then. Yeah.
So then Steve Vernon coached me for those years, and like a lot of my PBs are from those years. Mm-hmm. And then on the track especially, and then I coached myself for a year. Which?
How did you find that?
Yeah, it was actually really like fun, because like, you just do what you want for a year, and like you obviously think you'll know what it's like. You think you're invincible, so like I just went hard for a year, and then made like a GB team. I think it was like 2017 maybe, and then I was flying. Like I thought I never needed a coach again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so I just carried on doing what I was doing, training hard like every day, every week. And eventually got injured like badly again.
Yeah. What was the injury that time?
That was like in my back and hip. They weren't actually sure it was in the end. Mm-hmm. But Steve Vernon, the New Balance coach, like called me up and said like, listen, I get that you can get good off coaching yourself, but he said, you're a marathon runner, and he always used to say that.
All right.
So he said, listen, like, let's wipe the slate clean and I'll coach a marathon.
Right. So that you'd never run a marathon before?
No, never, no. Like, and like never done any training for marathon.
Yeah.
I think it was actually because, do you know that race they do around here, like metric?
Yeah,
Is
the
it
metric
the metric?
marathon.
Yeah, I did that as a Sunday run, and like Steve saw it and he kind of said like you're definitely a marathon runner.
Right. Okay.
So he said, I'll take you from here. Let's wipe the slate clean. I'll take you from here, and we'll go, like, get a marathon plan together. Yeah. And then I can live at home, but be supported by the New Balance.
Right. Okay. So does he still coach you now?
Yes. Yeah.
So he structures you.
Yeah, he does everything. Yeah, like, like if you asked me a year ago, I would say like I don't need a coach. Yeah. But like you do need a coach. I mean.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So, so any runner out there, would you say that you would advise them to get a coach, or if you want to take your running seriously?
Yeah, if you want to like level it up a little bit, you need a coach. Like, you just don't have that. Even if you have as much knowledge as a coach, you're not going to be able to like make the calls that a coach would make, because like emotionally you just your mind takes over, doesn't it? And you think I'm all right to go and do a session when you're not. But where your coach would step in and say you're not.
He's looked at what you've done previously and the numbers and things, and
and then
he knows you're not.
So he would make calls that you're not going to make, basically. So you need a coach, and like Steve's unreal, like for me. But so you got to find the right coach. You know what I mean?
Does Steve coach a lot of athletes, or?
No, I think he coaches 4 guys and then like 4 girls. I think, he likes to keep it
nice and small.
Yeah, but it's not to say like there's coaches like online coaches and stuff that would do like a lot of guys. Yeah. And I think like some people like I guess it's controversial, but it definitely, if you can work with someone, it doesn't matter how many people are coaching. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If you work with them, it works. Then keep doing it. Do you know what I mean?
No, definitely. Well, we'll come back to your PBs and your experiences in a while, but just wanted to know like what is it you love about running and what you dislike about running, really. I know it's a love-hate relationship for beginners, but it's also a love-hate relationship for athletes like yourself as well, I think.
Yes, it is. I don't think it ever changes that.
Not to put people off.
People tend to think like it gets easier, but it doesn't. Like, you just get faster. Right. Do you know what I mean? So like, in part of it, I love is that you like the process of it. So like, the main part of it, me, is the process, not the race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The preparation before.
Yeah. So like, obviously the race is like
the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, but like, it's not what I concentrate on at all. Like, I concentrate on the whole process before the race, and then like the race should be fairly easy. Do you know what I mean?
Should take care of itself.
Like, really. I'm not like halfway into a marathon. I'm not like, it's not hard. Do you know what I mean? It's easy.
Yeah, for some. Yeah. Dislikes about running. So I mean, obviously the hard training, injuries is something that's cropped up with both of us.
Yes.
That must be quite frustrating when it comes to.
Yeah. So training every day, like I was saying, it doesn't get any easier. So that's when it starts to get hard. Like, I think if you're in that marathon block, it's like some days you actually like real bad, like hurt, like every run hurts. So like that's when you start to hate it, because even if you go for like a 6 miler that you want to enjoy, like your legs hurt and your knees hurt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then injuries, like, that's the worst thing ever. Like, and it's kind of like unavoidable, really.
Yeah, I mean, I see it now, the amount of people that start running and then eventually get injured and either fall out of love with running, or they build themselves back up and get back into it.
Exactly.
It's almost part of the process of being a runner. You've got to accept that eventually you're going to get injured. Yeah. Which is a horrible way to look at it, but it's about how you bounce back and you recover from that, really, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
I know a little bit about your personal life as well, but how do you you obviously got a family bakery, so how do you juggle training when you're fit and the work-life balance, I suppose, that obviously you do long hours, so how do you make it work? It sounds like you haven't got enough hours in the day to me.
It's in the business has always been in the family, like, for ages. So like, I'm the last son that hasn't, like, all the others haven't gone into it. Right. So I felt like I had to go into it.
Pressure's on
you. But it's fine, like, I enjoy it, but I'm not gonna lie, like, the hours with running are like brutal, yeah. Like, so I'll work from 6:30, like, latest, until 4 every day, Monday to Saturday. And then, so Sunday's actually my only day off, and it's my hardest day.
The long
of
the
day. Week. Yeah. You know what it's like.
Yeah. So you'd work 6:30 till 4, then what, you'd get a run in after work?
Yeah.
Imagine you don't do one before work then.
Well, some parts of like a marathon block I need double runs to get the mileage, because like singles I can do it up to a point, but then when you start getting to like 110 mile weeks, you need doubles. Otherwise you'd be doing like 20 mile a night. But like,
so what, you'd be going at 5 a.m?
Yeah, so I kind of like before 5 really, do you know what I mean? I just try and get up and go. Like a lot of the time I won't even use my watch because I don't want to know how slow I'm running.
Well, slow to you compared to some people, but yeah. So a lot of the stuff in the morning would be an easy run. Yeah,
like easy 5 miler. Yeah. Just to get like mileage in the legs, because it's needed.
And then you do if you had to do a speed or a faster session, you'd do that after work generally.
Yeah, so I do my makeup of my week now is like 2 main sessions, but one of the sessions will be the Sunday run.
Okay.
So the other session will be on a Wednesday evening, and that's when it gets hard into like I can deal with like working and then running. But then if you do a full day and you've got like a 20 mile session, which is like high end, like the session's fine because you just get your head in the game and go, but then the after it is like horrendous. Because like you get in at like late and try and eat and you don't want to eat, but like
you know you've got to eat.
And then obviously like
you're up early.
You get straight in bed, but it just doesn't seem to work, like because when you get up you just like knackered, do you know what I mean? But it seems to work alright. Like I don't know how it works, but it does work.
Sounds like you've trained yourself over the years to deal with it. Obviously you work in a bakery. Nutritional wise, what do you fuel yourself onto for all these long runs? Like, I'd be so tempted by all the, I know you do mega pies and pasties at the bakery, so are you quite strict on what you eat when you're in training? Or
I'm not massively strict, no. Like if I want a pie then I have a pie, but I mean I am strict with my nutrition though, as in like what I need to eat, and I get it wrong as well, like, which is important even for like if you start running you need to look at what you're eating, do you know what I mean? It's like a big change no matter how much you're doing. So, and that's like I think that's the main reason I got injured.
Right, because
this time,
what you were putting in your body. Okay.
So like I wasn't putting enough in.
And you're burning yourself out almost.
Yeah.
Does that come from experience or a coach, or do you have a nutritional and what's the word I'm looking for? Someone that specialises in nutrition. To give you a plan, or how does that work?
I did have a few years ago, which gave me like a lot of knowledge, and like it doesn't really change. Like the plan doesn't really change much, you know what I mean? So you can just follow on. If you're training more, just add a bit more to eat. And like, but I mean, I'd advise anyone to get a nutritionist, you know what I mean?
Yeah, take it seriously and see what you're putting in.
You need a professional. Like, if you don't know it, get someone to do it for you.
Seek help. Talking of professionals, obviously you are injured at the minute. For those that don't know what's happened, how long you've been out for, when you're looking to sort of get back into running?
So like it was actually like 12 weeks ago when I just randomly, like, my leg just went on like an easy, and then it was like a week of like on and off, and then another week of like off because I was like, it hurts too much, and then Steve was like, at that point there's something up, got me in for a scan, and then it's like obviously what runners don't want to hear, because we were worried it was a stress fracture, but we were positive that it wasn't, but after the scan it was.
Right. So not so right after all.
So so it's a stress fracture, like top of the femur,
left side,
your left side, and it was quite like bad one. So you could actually like see the fracture line, which you can't usually in a stress fracture.
Okay. So how's that?
So 8 weeks from that point I've done no running, just cycling, which luckily I can do, and then it'll be another 3 weeks from now
until
so I've got a scan on Tuesday actually, but it's going to be at least another 3 weeks of nothing, and then it'll be like the first week it'll literally be like 1 minute on, 1 minute off.
Okay, back to basics almost.
Yeah.
How do you find not being able to run? And obviously you mentioned the cycling there. Is that satisfying like running does, or?
No, not the same.
No.
But and like obviously, it's horrible not being able to run. Like you know what it's like, especially when it's like such a big part of your life. Like it becomes part of you, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
When you're not doing it, you just don't feel yourself like. You just don't act the same, like clumsy and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but luckily I can cycle, which is like something to put your mind to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're getting quite into that, I believe, aren't you? Getting quite competitive.
Yeah. No, I'm getting into it. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say competitive. But
At least it's keeping you fit. Eh?
Yes.
With the running, is there sort of anyone you look up to or aspire to? And I'm going slightly off track a little bit, but it's just a question I wanted to ask coming into it. Any role models? I'm
not actually like massively ever been into like role models, but like I think if I had to say someone, it would be Prefontaine. Do you know what I mean? It seems like an obvious thing to say, but like any runner would, like if you read about him or whatever, then you'll get why runners say it, because like if you've got that attitude, you're going to do well like at some point.
Definitely. London Marathon, to those that don't know too much about yourself, obviously you did that in 2020, just gone, with the elite runners. Kipchoge, Mo Farah was pace setting your group, I believe. What was that like as an experience, and obviously we want to tell everyone about your time you got as well.
It was actually amazing. Like people were moaning and whatever, but it was amazing. Like I don't know if I should say it, but it was better than, I think it's a better experience than it would have been.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's so different, and like you're never going to get to do that again.
No.
And like the laps were, I think it's a better course really, because like laps are weird, but it means you're getting a flat course, doesn't it?
So the course was kind of to you, do you think?
To your advantage, but then the weather was like horrendous, so that was the only thing. Yeah.
What was it like running with them guys? I'm sure you've run with elite runners before, but obviously seeing Kipchoge at the start and fail in terms of what he was looking for.
Yeah, true, yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, really good, yeah. So like, that's obviously inspiring in itself, but I mean, it was hard, that race was hard. Like I know I said before that halfway into marathon isn't hard, but like my first marathon in Valencia wasn't hard, like because I trained so well and nailed the race plan. It genuinely wasn't hard. Like I think the only hard bit was like the last 2 miles.
Okay.
But up to that, it felt like a jog. But like it's like 5-10 mile in. But, like it felt like
just a jog.
5-10. Because of training. Do you know what I mean? Though? So if you train well, then that's how it should be. But London, that wasn't the case, because basically I got injured again after Valencia, and it was kind of like touch and go whether I'd be ready for London. So like my coach and I were discussing it, and we decided to go for it because they just made it like in terms of where the block was going to start. So I started from scratch. That was really unfit. I think it was like 3 months out.
Right.
Which sounds a long time, but it isn't. Yeah. And then, so I got into like the plan for London, but then I got fit like really quick. So at first I wasn't going for Olympic qualifying at London. But like how fit I was getting, like I think 2 months into plan, I had the conversation of like, we're getting to the point where I'd be aiming for 2:12 anyway. Right. So like, so
those that don't know what's Olympic qualifying, you have to hit a certain.
So Olympic qualifying, it's 2:11:30 this year.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what you have to run to even be like considered to be in the
Right.
mix. Yeah. But basically, by the end of the block, I was in 2:12 to 2:12:30 shape, trying to work it out based on training. So it seems silly not to go for 2:11:30.
Yeah.
So there's a pace group at 2:14 in London, and a pace group. There's pace groups further back. I think there's like a 2:18, 2:14, and a 2:11:30.
Oh, okay. I only remember seeing the Mo Farah
pace. In the thing before, in like the briefing, they gave you like 4 options.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, because then there's a 2:8 group as well.
Right.
So, yeah, I went in Mo Farah's pace group.
Yeah.
2:11:30, and obviously you don't see it on TV, but he went way too quick. Like he went way too quick. Like he had another pacer that I knew. So there's 2 pacers. Funny enough, the pacer's from around here.
Is it?
Yeah.
To get him on there.
Yeah. So like he was running with Mo, and then I remember going up, I think on like the 8th mile, it was like 2:09 pace, and I came up on Matt's shoulder.
Yeah.
And like had a go at him, like,
slow down.
This is too fast. Yeah. And then he said I know, and he tried to tell Mo.
Right.
But Mo didn't listen. So yeah, I think I kind of argued with him for like 15 miles. Well, 13 miles, yeah. And then in the end, Matt, to be fair, said to me, it's too fast. Like, it's still 2:09 pace. So he said, drop back with me. This was like the 14th mile. He said, drop back and I'll pace you.
Yeah.
At 2:11:30.
Yeah.
And so I said, are you sure? And like he was like, yeah, I'll chill with you. 2:11:30. I'll pace you for as long as I can.
Chill at 2:11:30.
So then I think, it's about 14.5 mile. I said, right, okay, let's do it. So because the problem was I didn't want to come away from the group because I'd rather sit at like 2:09 in a group and see what happens than break off and then be on my own. Yeah. Because it'd be harder. It'd be harder to run 2:11 on your own.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I said, you sure you're alright? Like, can you go to like 16 mile? Maybe more. And he was like, yeah, I'm fine. I feel fine. I can do 2:11:30 for like 16, 17 miles. And as soon as I
drop back,
you might see this, but basically, as soon as we both dropped back, and as soon as we did that and split away from the group, I could see that he was like suddenly very tired.
Right.
And he started dropping back, and I said, "What are you doing?" And then he came back and started, and then got in front of me again. But I could see that he was tired. And then after like a minute, so it was like 16. It wasn't even 16 miles. It was like 15 and a half. He pulled to the side
and left
and just said to me, "Mate, I'm sorry."
That's good of him.
But like the group was like gone, and you can't.
So
I couldn't catch a 2:09 group. Back up, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'd have to put in like 30 miles.
So at that point you're on your own?
So I was on my own from 15 miles, yeah.
Mentally, like, what was that like?
Yeah, so
I remember seeing you on your own, and I'm thinking, wow, that must be such a mental battle. Like.
It's like, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, but it was like real hard, like so hard, and like, even though I felt good, like the weather, the cold, and like, the wind started getting to me, like, because I was on my own. If I was in a group, yeah, but like you start to analyse your pace too much.
Thinking about everything.
Yeah, so like it started hurting from that point a lot, and I think I was like at that point I was 3rd Brit, and I was actually 2 minutes ahead of 4th Brit.
Do you know this as you're running around or not?
Yeah, so they had a huge screen.
Right.
They had actually a few screens, and one of them was where you were, like, positioned. Yeah. And it actually had how many minutes you had.
On the...
And then, yeah, so I was 3rd Brit, and then there was 2 Brits 2 minutes behind me, and that was at 15 mile, and I felt fine, and I think my pace dropped a bit but not a lot, like I was still like 5:07 miling.
Yeah.
And then I think I was just chilling, I was like cruising, but then it was hurting, and then by like the 20th mile I was really hurting, and then those 2 guys started catching, which was more demotivating because every time I saw the screen
you see them creeping.
Yeah, they were like creeping. And the other thing was it was like 2:10 pace on the screen, estimated finish time, so I was like on for Olympic qualifying, which is buzzing obviously.
Yeah.
But then every lap it was like 2:10:30 and then 2:10:40.
Yeah.
And then 2:11, and then like I was actually still on for pace, like I think it was like 4 laps to go.
Right.
And then it was like 2k laps just short of, and it just started like creeping up so much in the last 4 laps. So like I was on for Olympic qualifying, 4 laps to go.
Yeah.
And then like by 2 laps to go, it was on Olympic like just over like 2:11:40.
Right.
And then 1 lap to go, it was like 2:12:40.
Yeah.
And then half a lap to go, because the only like solace I had to like left was in that I was 3rd Brit.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm 3rd British guy, I got a British medal.
Yeah.
The half a lap to go, I was like, I noticed on the screen that the 2 Brits were like 10 seconds away from me. And so, but I was feeling alright at that point actually. So like, I braced it and thought, I'll let them come, and then because I knew I was better than them.
Right.
So I let them come and then sit on them, and then just have them off in the last.
Right.
But they just came past, like they both just came past, and I literally didn't have anything. So like, that was even worse. So that demotivated me more. And then the last like 800 meters, I lost like another like 20 seconds. So
Pain.
So it was like 2:13:30 in the end.
Right.
Yeah. Which is still, I was happy with it.
I was going to say, for anyone watching this, they're going to think 2:13's unbelievable for a marathon. So you'd done the Valencia one before that.
Yeah.
What was that time?
2:14:30.
So you beat that by over a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, for those that haven't run a marathon before, I've never run a marathon. Obviously, there's a lot of training goes into it. Afterwards, what does it feel like? Obviously, you mentioned before off air about how it had the pain that you were in when you finished. We didn't see that on camera, and then obviously the days after, we don't know how you're feeling. So, just describe to us like the recovery process, the initial when you stop.
Yeah. So
how did that feel?
Like Valencia, fine, nothing. Like literally, the group I was with were like, they'd all ran marathons. They were like annoyed because I was so fresh. Like I literally was fine. Like Valencia, I was fine after it. Weeks after it, anything, fine. And then, but London, I was like horrendous. Yeah, like as in like I couldn't really walk. As like when I went over the line, I couldn't walk. Like went on the floor.
And then put people off running a marathon.
And then it didn't get any easier. Like they thought I was like hypothermic for a little bit. And so that was like immediately after. I was in a real bad way. Like I couldn't even think. I can't hardly remember it.
Right.
Because it was just so hard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was cold and wet.
Cold, wet, physically, mentally exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in a real bad way, and I'd gone a little bit like over what I was capable of. I guess. So like, yeah, it hurt, but then I actually recovered fairly quickly. Like I couldn't walk for a week at all. I think I went to Cornwall after it.
Yeah.
And Cornwall, but it was like, I couldn't walk. Like I couldn't walk, as in like I couldn't walk up the stairs. For the whole week. Yeah.
The whole week.
Whole week I couldn't walk. I'm not lying. I couldn't walk.
Right, yeah.
And then, but then I recovered fairly quickly after that, and like I felt fine. And then I got into training again.
Yeah.
And then, like as we were saying, like everything was fine. I got the training right, progression right. The only thing I didn't get right was nutrition, which is all I can put it down to.
Yeah.
And maybe like strength work. And there's actually an Olympic trial in March, which was what I was going for next. Mm-hmm. And I just felt fine, and I thought, like, I'm definitely going to run and qualify in March because, like, it was on for it in London. Yeah. And I felt better, and I was really fit, and then I just randomly picked this injury up. So
this injury now means you can't compete in March?
Yes.
So then, does that mean I'm
out? Yeah.
You're out. You can't. You definitely won't be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So what was the plan in March? Is that a marathon again?
So it's a marathon. It's in Kew Gardens.
Right.
So they run it around Kew Gardens, similar setup to London.
Okay.
But it's just an Olympic trial, so there's just, I don't know how many, but it's just guys, British guys, that are going for the Olympics.
Right.
Top 2 get automatic selection as long as you've ran 2:11:30.
Right. Okay.
So the plan was to run 2:11:30,
qualify,
and come top 2.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I had to call that 8 weeks ago. I called it. I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. Quite frustrating.
Yeah, not what you want to do, is it? But
no. So I guess what's next? So obviously, once you're recovered and you're back running, what are your aspirations, goals? Where do you see yourself? Yeah, what do you want to achieve next?
Yeah, so I just want to run as fast as I can now, marathon wise, first. So like, I don't want to think about championships too much, like as in this next year. So like, I will I'll train for Berlin, I think. Now when I get back into it, hopefully now.
Which is
September. So I'll train for that, to run as fast as I can there, like regardless of any qualifying times or anything. I'll just run as fast as I can. Like, I want to run 2:10.
Right, that's the aim.
Yeah, so that's the aim in Berlin. I want to run 2:10. And then, but then I say I'm not concentrating on championships, but it's because I want a time. But the Commonwealth Games is what that will qualify me for Commonwealth Games.
Right.
So that's the main aim now, really.
So smash the Berlin Marathon and get yourself into
Commonwealth. So it'll be Berlin, Commonwealth, yeah. And like, I'm confident I won't get injured now because, like, I just know what I've done wrong, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So nutrition, strengthening.
Yeah. So strengthening, like, I'll get the proper help with strengthening though.
Yeah.
It was something I was like missing, and like being a bit lazy with.
Yeah.
Because I just like to run, like.
Yeah, as we all do.
Yeah. So like the little things like strength, it just gets boring, doesn't it?
Yeah. How do you do that? Like, how often would you advise to do strength? How often do you do strength?
Yeah. So it should be like 2 or 3. It's like personal, but it should be like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And you need to build it specific. Like, again, I'll say, like, don't try and do something you don't know. Like, just get advice from someone who, like, there's people out there that are strength coaches, so go to a strength coach.
So do you use a strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah.
Or is that part of your coach's job?
Yeah, so I'm like, it's with the support I get.
Yeah.
I get a strength coach, so like that's like obviously lucky, but otherwise I'd definitely seek out a strength coach. And I should have done it beforehand, really, but
it's important in its strength as part of being a runner. I mean, people neglect it, and I think it's often overlooked, but it's a vital part of
exactly.
So
training,
like, isn't it?
You need it. You need to be bulletproof, basically, to handle those stresses, and it will mean that you don't get injured. But like, it gets boring, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Do you do much like yoga, stretching, recovery, anything like that, or?
No, I'm the worst at like stretching.
Yeah.
Like, I think I tried yoga once and lasted like 5 minutes.
Did you?
It's like,
got bored.
But like strength's super important, and like you need to get it in 100%. Yeah.
No, definitely. Just to finish off, I just want to touch on your PBs. I know obviously everyone's asked in this lockdown, what's your 5k PB? What's your so we know you're fast. To people that haven't don't know much about you and your PB. So what was your 5k personal best? When did you achieve that?
2016, I think.
Right.
It's 13:43.
Right, okay. So what's yours? 20 something? Mad, isn't it? 10k?
29:10. Yeah.
29:10. So that for some people is like a 5k time, isn't it? So
but I should be like I could run faster than that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was 2017.
Right.
But I could run. Like, if I wanted to do one now, it would be like 28.
Was that Chester? No.
It's Telford. Telford. Yeah.
Half marathon.
64:30, but I've only done a half in preparation to my marathon.
Right. Okay.
So it's been at marathon pace.
64:30.
Yeah.
What do you reckon you could get that down to?
So yeah, part of this build up now.
Yeah.
Is the first thing we're going to focus on is half.
Yeah.
To get that speed. So, because if you want to run a 2:10, you need to be in half shape.
Yeah.
Like the best half shape you've ever been in. So we'll go for like sub 62.
Sub 62. It's mad, isn't it? Some people like, you say 1 hour something or 2 hours something, and you're saying the 60s. So yeah. And then obviously the marathon.
2:13:38, I think exactly. Or 34.
Yeah, I hope it's 34 because
34.
I've got something here for you here that's got 34.
2:13:34.
Yeah, spot on. That's the right answer. And then soon to be 2:11, 2:10.
2:10. Yeah,
2:10.
I'll run 2:10. Yeah.
Top man. Well, I think that's everything. I mean, thanks for your time today.
Oh, no,
I just want to say thanks as well. Obviously, you've been a big supporter of the Kilometre Club throughout.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of family members taking part in our
That's it,
challenges.
Yeah. It's me that should be thanking you, mate. Definitely. Yeah,
well,
genuinely though. Thanks for I don't think you realise how much you help people in doing the Kilometre Club. That's why I support it. Do you know what I mean?
Top man.
Yeah.
And it's great to see you supporting and obviously your family out running there.
Oh,
They seem to be
yeah.
getting a lot quicker.
Apart from me, yeah.